What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast, celebrating 6 years of podcasting, almost 7. This is episode 548. I am your host, Steve V, alongside Jeremy Ross Lopez. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm really good. How are you?
Really good, really good. Of course, joining us is the lovely and talented with his brand new single. Ooh. Talk About It, out now. Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for mentioning my lovely new single, Talk About It, by Kodi Maurice.
Yes, it's so good. We love it. And you can get it everywhere, correct?
That's right. It's on all streaming platforms, even Amazon Music and Tidal and all the other places you wouldn't think that. When I released the single, I said, how many streaming services are there actually? And there's like 20.
Now there's a lot. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. It's like the podcast world too. They're everywhere. So congratulations. We'll continue to talk about it, and let's get into it. Well, I am here in LA. I have been here for a little over a week, and it's been such a great time, including I went to a pre-Oscar event hosted by Donatella Versace at the LA LGBTQ Center on Friday night, and it was star-studded. Super cool. They honored basically the LGBTQ Center, and also Gabrielle Union was there. I saw her. Her husband, of course, was there because he was also part of the event. And yeah, Kathy Griffin, I was practically my new best friend. She was just hanging out and we were just talking about, I know, super cool. And she's like, that's why I'm here. She knows how to promote, and she's such an ally to the community. That was such a great moment to see her. You'll love this, Kodi. Simone, winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, was there looking stunning. And of course, I had to ask her about Madonna because she performed in Vegas the night before I saw Madonna, and Madonna brought her up on stage. So I wanted to get the tea. Were you nervous? How did it all work? And she said, yes, I was in the running for it. And then I found out I got it. And she says, I am on TV, so I typically am not that nervous. But she said, for this, I was so freaking out. But she did a great job on that. Yeah. And she posed for me in a selfie, which was so fun. Could not have been more generous with her time and energy. And like I said, was gorgeous. And just a great event all around. It was fun being here for Oscars because, I was driving back from drag brunch at the Abbey, which is a lot of fun they call it Sunday service. And it's outdoors. It was beautiful weather. The brunch is actually really delicious, and the drag queens were on point. So I highly recommend that at the Abbey if you're ever here for Sunday service. But on my way back, I was driving down Fountain, for all you LA people that know, and I passed by Highland, which leads up to the Oscars, and it was a sea of black SUVs, Escalades, making their way up Highland onto Hollywood Boulevard to go to the Oscars. And it was just like, wow, in all of these cars are stars and celebrities. So it was kind of cool to see that. And lastly, before we get into Oscar talk, I did a couple of collaborations for my OnlyFans. One was with Will of Tantric Fitness with his boyfriend, and we did it outside where I'm staying here. And which was kind of a baiter scene. Very cool, coming up soon. And then I did another one with a guy that goes by the name of The Redhead XXX on Twitter. And by redhead, he means he's not redheaded. He puts a red mask on his head. And everything in his studio is all like red fabric. And it's kind of a cool shtick that he's got going, very mysterious and dark, but really cool. And he found me on Sniffies, which I found out is a really good way to find collabs. And then we shot in his studio apartment in Glendale. And it was the boys that do this like a lot have it down with the cameras, the various lighting. They know what they're doing. I learned so much, which was really good for me, and also just to see how seriously people take this. And I don't know, it was just a pleasure working with him, and I can't wait for that to come out. But and Kodi, he probably will be a guest on our show with the red
Oh,
mask on
wow.
an upcoming episode, the Redhead
Fun.
X. So all good with that. A lot of fun, and just having a great time here before I head back to New York City. But yeah, all good. But the Oscars, of course, were on yesterday. Jeremy, did you get to watch them? And we got to get your take on the fashion.
I didn't get to watch them. I was catching up on some other stuff, but I did see clips of some of the fashion, and I watched the performance by Billie Eilish, which I really love that song, and her.
Me too. I'm
And
happy.
Yeah.
Her second
now,
Oscar.
now I want to watch. Is it called Poor Things? That
Yes, Poor Things.
she won an Oscar for, so I'm like excited to watch that.
Emma, yeah, one. And did you see her dress and it ripped? Emma
Yes,
Stone.
I'm like, ugh, that dress is so ugly, but
It wasn't ugly. She was
but
so
it
cool.
was it was funny that it ripped and she like mentioned it on stage and everything. I'm just not into those minty tones.
Me either. And all we could think of was like, oof, who's that designer that's never going to get a call back and is probably getting lambasted today by the PR rep because, like, a big no, right? Coleman Domingo looked stunning, I thought.
Amazing.
There was America Ferrara, who I'm a huge fan of, looked great.
Yeah, I
And
loved hers.
so good. Was it
Zendaya.
Zendaya
Great.
looked
Oh my
like
God. To
a
die
work
for.
of art.
Yes.
Yeah, breathtaking. Kodi, any that you had that spoke to you or men?
I looked at them all today, and that guy that was in red, white, and royal blue, what was his name again? Something Zakar. Oh
Oh, I
man.
didn't see him. Okay.
Oh, he
Oh,
is
the
gorgeous.
dark-haired actor.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he's so handsome, and I loved his outfit too.
Yeah. And also Ariana Grande's outfit. I love the big poofy purple that she had
Not a
going
fan of
on.
that one, but I like.
No?
Did you like it? It
Well,
looked like balloons.
it was pink, and it was an homage to Glinda in Wicked because that's
Yeah.
her part.
Correct. Yes. Did you like it,
Her-
Jeremy?
No, I don't. I don't like that color either. But I mean,
Yeah.
for to each his own.
Right, exactly. Somebody that had a Stark suit on was John Cena, who was actually his birthday suit. And it was an homage to the early 70s when a streaker ran across the Oscar stage. And so they did a whole bit where they brought out John Cena naked. He had just like the award winner in where his crotch was, and his body's like insanity. I mean, it's
Insane.
yeah. So that was a little bit of fun eye candy, I thought. We mentioned Coleman Domingo. Yeah, all in all, I thought it was the show ran quickly. It was entertaining. I liked most of the winners. This is a year that I've seen more films than say other previous years. Most of the winners I either predicted or I actually enjoyed. I mean, Oppenheimer, believe it or not, I actually liked it a lot and could see why it won. Not my favorite film of the year, but well done. And I learned so much in that film. But my favorite film, if I had to recommend one, would be Anatomy of a Fall. And I highly recommend it. You still wonder at the end, did or did she not do it? And the lead actress has a couple scenes in there that are riveting opposite the man that plays her husband. It's just like wow, and such a great film. Kodi, did you watch any of it, and what were your thoughts?
I've only seen clips, but I think that congratulations to all the winners. And my favorite speech of the night was Davine Joy Randolph. She won for Best Supporting
Oh
Actress.
yes, and I had just watched that
So
movie. She's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah. So, but
Tears
yeah,
and all. Yes, for the Holdovers, such a great
Yes.
film. I really loved it. So yeah, nice, really good. Okay, well, let's get into some hot topics, and there are a bunch. Let's start with your favorite RuPaul. And you were telling me, Kodi, maybe you could do this story and lead it off if you wouldn't mind, since I just got a new laptop, so I'm a little out of sorts today. So bear with me. But if you could do that story, Kodi, that would help out a lot.
Okay, so let's get into it. So this Sunday, the city of Atlanta uh, made March 10th. If they proclaimed it as RuPaul Day. The officials say the proclamation will celebrate RuPaul's profound impact on the city's cultural landscape and his global influence in the LGBTQ plus community. So congratulations to RuPaul. He's been slaying, and now his impact on the community is being recognized, especially in Atlanta, so of all places. So, oh, that's where RuPaul lived for such a long time when he was much younger, and he was in Wee Wee Pole. So, I think it's an amazing thing,
Congratulations and good
right?
timing for him. He's like the king of timing. I mean, every season that they come out with Drag Race, he has an accompanied full-on album. And it's
Yeah.
like the man turns out a brand new album all the time, and each one is actually pretty good. There's always like several tracks that I'm listening to that I'm like adding into my playlist. And so master of marketing and timing. And then for him to get this announcement amongst his brand new memoir that is out, Kodi, or coming out?
I believe it is out right now. Let me look that up right now.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is. It's available on
Thank you,
Amazon.
Jeremy.
great. Awesome. Yeah. So I just think, kudos to him. He's a master of timing. He's what we need to see right now. I mean, Jeremy, when you see him being honored like this, I know you're not like Mr. Drag Race fan, but what do you think of RuPaul and Atlanta honoring him this way?
I love him, and I think that they gave credit where credit is due. I have watched the show previously, and actually, this season is the first season in many years that I've started to tune in every week to every episode, and I'm loving it. And he was also featured on Architectural Digest, which is something that I
Yes.
always keep up with. So if you have a moment to check out his home, it's really beautiful and
Ooh.
has like so much cool decor. And he has a drag closet, and he has a his menswear closet, and all of that stuff is really really interesting.
Yeah, for a man that often is very private with his personal, he's really coming out and showing a lot. I don't know, Cody. It's kind of like he doesn't. We're getting kind of a glimpse into his behind the scenes life.
Oh yeah, and it's extraordinary. I'm glad that RuPaul is finally opening up more and more, and that he is showing the world who he really is, and it's not really just a facade. He's letting people into his day to day life, like you said, and I think it's really endearing. I've always loved RuPaul. I do think that sometimes he can do a little bit of wrong, or maybe has some antiquated views sometimes, but I think that he's willing to grow and learn like we all are. And I think that is a wonderful example of how to live your life. Just be as open to new experiences and new ideas as possible. So I applaud RuPaul.
Love it. Well, congratulations to RuPaul. Congratulations, we should really be saying.
Right.
Um, we love it when you write in and coming in on our Apple podcast this week. Thank you so much to, did they even write their name? Let me just see. I love Steve, Cody, and the whole crew. I always love to listen in. Shane Man 001 gave us my favorite podcast on Apple Podcasts. And we love it when you rate and review us and give us 5 stars on Apple Music Podcast because it helps us get the word out. And also, congratulations to us. We're number 50 in sexuality podcast this week.
Yes.
So thanks for keeping us on the charts and moving into Speedos because it is getting warmer. And does America have a Speedophobia problem? Apparently, it was the topic of conversations where people on Reddit were weighing in on the Speedo phenomenon that's been going on for years. But in places like Europe and Mexico, straight, gay, queer, all of people wear speedos, and it's not really thought of any weird at all. However, in America and the UK, we do have a little bit, some people have a little bit of a cringe factor. And they went on to say, like somebody said, I'm a straight guy and I will only wear swim briefs to the beach and even smaller, more revealing swimwear at the pool because I refuse to be modest so that weak-minded people can feel comfortable.
Mm.
Another one, the male body is beautiful too, and it's all about time men everywhere start with themselves and be the change they want to see. Men need a swimwear revolution. Wow, okay, that's pretty bold. I'm kind of interesting with the Speedo thing. And when I go to Puerto Vallarta all the time, if I'm going to places like Blue Chairs, which is a gay beach, I am all about stripping down to my Speedo. Or when I've been on a Vacaya cruise or a retreat, I am totally all the skimpier the better. Of course, I've talked extensively about my birthday suit and doing a John Cena moment. Of course, I love that. But I am a little funny when we're in our condo, which is not quite in the LGBTQ area of Puerto Vallarta. And I'm just a little bit more aware that there's heteros around. And so I'll wear sort of a small, brief shortcut because I feel like they don't want to see that. And I am a little self-conscious of it because I don't know. I feel a little self-conscious with it. But Jeremy, are we speedo phobic in certain parts? And what do you think of speedos in general?
I mean, I would say here in the United States, I don't think it's that popular unless you're at specifically like in South Beach at the gay beach or just somewhere where it's like commonly seen. But I would say for the most part, I mean, it's definitely more a European thing. And in when I was in Italy last summer, I mean, almost all the men wear Speedos. And for me, they're not my favorite. And I don't really feel like they're the most flattering on a lot of body types. But I don't judge at the same time. Like, if that makes you comfortable and you want to wear them, power to you. But I prefer shorter board shorts and swim trunks for myself.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, to each his own, I think. But I mean, Kodi, how do you weigh in? I know, well, we know what you like. Shorter, they don't make them skimpy enough.
If I could just wear a rubber band, I would wear a rubber band.
But
To
I
let's
cover your
love
also
it.
clarify the difference between my bottom half and you guys is that my thighs are like double the size of your legs. So that hanging out of a bathing suit is not always the most comfortable.
Yeah. You're a beautiful baby. I love it.
Believe me, it might not be comfortable, but plenty of us would like to see it. And so,
Right?
yeah,
Hello. Yeah,
but
I love a
yeah.
good speedo moment. I think it makes me feel sexy. So as long as I feel sexy, I don't care about what anybody else has to say about, because I get really self-conscious too. I have a lot of hair going on, so there's a lot of manscaping going on. I feel like I have a rug after I do my manscaping. I have a brand new rug going on down there.
I was
So
going to say it, but I'm glad you did for me. But
I beat you to it, bitch. But yeah, I love a good speedo, and I love seeing other men in speedos too. I just think that encapsulates a nice, beautiful, streamlined view of the D's. So I think it's all tends across the board for me in speedos.
yeah, I mean, I wish we didn't really have that. Like, I wish people didn't care as much here in America, or apparently the UK, as they report in this story, because I wish everybody just kind of wore what they wore and it wouldn't be a big deal. And I wish there were more naked beaches. You know, they don't have to be everywhere, they could still be pushed to the side, but you could almost count the number of naked beaches, I think, probably in the world, really. And it's, you know, well, I don't think everyone needs to see that. I think it would be nice for to be a little bit more freer and a little bit more open with our images or our ideas of our bodies. So I think we are all a little bit, you know, phobic about a lot of this stuff. So,
Oh
anyways,
yeah.
yeah. You know, one little note I forgot that it was making. Apparently, this was the headline from that pre-Oscar party at the LA LGBTQ Center was Donatella Versace. We were like, where is she? She's supposed to be coming out in here. And she was apparently stuck in the elevator for a little period of time. And
Poor baby.
and it was because they have this great rooftop, but there's only one way to get up there, and this elevator. And I was told that the LA LGBTQ Center, this was the largest event that they've produced up there. It was sold out, as you can imagine, and but she got it together. She was heard to say, "Ladies first." Oh my God, she was heard to say as she squeezed carefully through the gap of the elevator. She yeah, it was just hilarious that she was stuck in an elevator. And that was everywhere, that news story. It's like, okay, there was more to it, but I'm glad that that's what they focused on. And okay, yeah, exactly. Okay, well, we've got to move on to some advice, and it's all coming in the way of at Reddit right now, and there's a bunch of stories that we could get to. This one caught my attention immediately. How to tell a guy he's terrible in bed. I don't know. I think the answer is just you don't and you move on, but let's read what they had to say. I need some real advice. Here I am, an otherwise fairly blunt person. Here's his background. A younger friend of mine by almost 25 years said he looks like he likes older men and wanted to start a friends with benefit situation with me. Sure, fine by me. I like the guy. He's cute. I found his invitation incredibly complimentary toward me. Hence, we started it on a friends with benefit scenario. He's great at cuddling. He's fun to kiss. He likes physical intimacy. Once we get past that, things begin to break down. The oral sex isn't bad, not stellar, but not bad. And although he says ejaculating in my mouth is too physically stimulating, he's afraid of bottoming, even though I'm told I completely versatile and expect the same before we started this venture. When he tops, it's awful. Okay, not mincing any words there.
Yeah.
You pretty much have to do all the work. Then he admits after the fact to suffering from performance issues in most of the sex. He goes on to say, I am a much more dynamic person when it comes to sex. And so, how do I go about telling somebody I'd like to continue with Friends with Benefits, but need some changes in order to feel satisfied? I don't want to crush this guy's spirit because he made me feel really, really special just by asking. I've never been in a spot like this, and I honestly don't know what to do. Jeremy, should he even bother or just move on?
I mean, I think that you should give him the benefit of the doubt, and he did admit that he had issues, the guy said. So,
Yes.
I mean, if he's admitting it, then he knows that there are things to work on. So, it seems like he might be optimistic towards taking maybe something like constructive criticism or pointers or advice on what will turn this guy on. And I mean, I wouldn't give it up altogether, especially if the guy made him feel special. I don't think it's that easy to find someone that makes you feel special. And I mean, he sounds like he's open to new ideas or maybe getting a little creative.
I agree with you on that because, in one regard, I think sex can be like direction. And often, if you I think of a lot of things like a film and a movie. I'm always starring in my own life, and I'm the star of my own brilliant movie, but I am often either directing or wanting to be directed. And case in point, the other day with this redhead that I had met for an OnlyFans scene, he had said, I was looking around and he said, are you new to this? And meaning not sex, but OnlyFans. And I said, I am. He says, oh, that's no problem. And he even had like this camera on the bed. He had two cameras set up and a camera on the bed. And I said, what's that camera on the bed for? And he says, that's for if one of us feels inspired and want to get a close up, pick it up. And he's like, here, it's an Android. I'll show you how to use it because, I'm on iPhone. And he showed me he set it up. So like, just pick it up. And if you feel inspired, start shooting. Of course, that was too complicated for me. So I didn't want to do that. He directed me and he says, do you mind? He's like, I'll just direct you if that's okay. And I said, you know what? Direct me. And that just allowed me to get comfortable. And then I was even playing to the camera a little bit more. And I like that he kind of took that lead. But to me, sex can be that way too. Somebody should take direction, and you can kind of, through body language, direct somebody into where you want them to attend to. And it can be this nice live edit that can happen with sex that can be really hot and stimulating, and also get somebody that maybe is a little on the shyer side to spread their legs and wings a little bit more. Ooh, I like that. Kodi, how do you weigh in on somebody that isn't? How do you tell them they're terrible in bed, or what do you do?
So I see both of your points, but I do not agree at all. I think that because these two are in a friends with benefits situation, they got the friends part down, but they don't have the benefits part down because they are doing it all wrong. And this guy, I get that he's 25 years younger than this other gentleman, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he should have to be his teacher. I think that for this particular type of relationship, having to teach somebody how to do all the things, I would not be down for that. On the flip side, if I were in an actual relationship with this person and we were committed to each other and they were my man, of course I would take the time to teach them to how to what I liked in bed and how to be a better sexual partner to me personally, because that's what you do when you're in love. But as far as this friends with benefits stuff, I could never ever ever do it. I have to see that you're already good at, you had to come prepackaged for me as far as friends with benefits are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I see both of your points too, because I was ready to write it off like you at first too, Kodi. But then Jeremy reminded me that this guy was maybe looking for some assistance, if you
Hmm.
will. And I kind of can see it that way. I mean, I have a friends with benefits back home in New York, and the first, we were just hot and heavy. I've talked about him. We met on the naked beach before. And the first time we got together was maybe not the best, but we were still hot for him. But the second and third, and I think we're on to a fourth. We need to get a fifth, sixth, and seventh in the
Get it.
calendar. But it's just gotten better and better and better. And so he's somebody that I just want to keep in my arsenal, if you will, because it's that good. I'm not sure if it was average, I would continue, or bad, I would continue. But I do see both points. And yes, good luck out there. It's not easy. Moving on to some more advice. These guys are trying to find a third, and it's funny because I just started watching From Couple to Thruple on Peacock, and we are hoping to get one of the guys on there, Brody, soon, right, Kodi, for Tags Live?
Yeah, hope so soon. Well, let's cross our fingers. He's been very interested, but there's some hurdles we have to hop over first. So yeah,
Yeah,
let's do it.
namely with
I can't wait.
NBC, but yeah. But yeah, always interesting when you work at the big studios. But yeah, interesting show. I don't know if you're watching that show, Jeremy, but I think you would
I
like it.
tried it, but I don't really love it. I mean, I watched like the first 3 episodes and then it just kind of fell off for me. I'm watching For the Love of Dilfs and I
Oh,
find that more
yes.
interesting.
So
Okay, let me
good.
get
I
on
love
that
the.
one. And then to finding a third, this person wrote, myself, 38, my husband, 36, have decided to begin exploring opening things up. And my question for you all is, how do you find a third? Neither of us came of age with the apps. We met on OkCupid when you could only access it on the web. On the browser, actually, but understand that's likely what we'll have to do. Ideally, we'd like to find someone who we both trust and could become somewhat regular, and not sure the apps are the best. Perhaps we need to go to the bars, help an older gay who has no idea what how the apps are. I think my advice would be to try Sniffies, because Cody, I know you like Sniffies a lot. I've been
Hmm.
having a lot of luck. I find people are responsive more on Sniffies. We've had the guy, I believe it was either the marketing guy or the guy that created Sniffies on our show before, and when it was just launching, and he really did a good job of just describing it more as like a GPS. And I find people are more responsive. But the other thing I like about Sniffies too, that would be helpful for these guys, is you can put yourself up there, put whatever you want in your description, but then you can post an ad, almost think Craigslist. And if he's of the older school mindset, he's definitely will know Craigslist. And that's where you can really get creative and put a fun little headline like you could back in the day on Men Seeking Men. And you can say, we're a couple that's been around, we're looking for a third. And you can write all that fun descriptive stuff that you maybe can't on all of the other apps. And people do respond to these. For some reason, the way they've designed Sniffies is really more effective, I think, at least for me, and I would think would be effective for them. Jeremy, you've worked at the New York Eagle back in the day, and you saw a lot of interactions going on. Would you recommend a bar like a cruise bar like the Eagle for these guys to meet up, or what would be your advice?
I honestly think any bar setting would be great for a couple to look for a third. I'm not sure how the apps would help if you're two people looking for a third, unless it's a third that you're looking just to sleep with, or if they're looking for more than that in a relationship wise. So I think if they're both in person at a bar, it is a more conducive setting to just meet someone that they're both attracted to equally and maybe equally attracted to them as well, because it's physical and less of the online back and forth with photos and stuff. But if they're just looking for like quick hookups with a third, then the apps may be the better option for them. So I think it really just depends on if they're looking more seriously. Then I would say physically in person at any gay establishment would be a good start, and just see how it goes that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, it's kind of a numbers game too, and you just kind of have to dive in. None of us are real experts on this in terms of, I mean, you just got to kind of put yourself out there. The other thing about the apps, as to your point, like you're saying, is I think if you are going to use traditional apps like Grinder, Sniffies, or excuse me, Grinder, Scruff, and others like that, then you really need to then maybe put a picture that is of both of you. You need to
Yeah.
really get them in the headline too, because I find maybe people aren't reading as much. And put threesome in there, put the two of you, two torsos in there, and really get the headline going, because otherwise people, I feel, maybe aren't taking the time to read, and that's why you
Mhm.
get ghosted or no one's responding. But Kodi, if you had to weigh in on this one, what would be your advice?
Definitely what you guys were saying about the apps. I was looking up some things, and there is actually a polyamory app out there for, it's called Field. It's to meet other people that are interested in polyamory. And it was voted one of the best apps out there for polyamory. Another thing that that came to my mind as you guys were talking, there are groups that you can actually go to that are coordinated so that polyamory people that are interested in polyamory, they can meet up together. There's actually one
Oh,
in New York City. It's called Open Love. So
yes.
I would say reach out to any groups that are in your area, see who is out there for you, and just keep exploring, because if that's something that you were definitely interested in, you got to, put your feelers out there as much as possible.
Right, absolutely. And I think they're already on the right path, because they're, writing into like a Reddit thread, which I think is really great. And so, yeah, definitely. And I think we have time for one more. We love giving advice. By the way, you can always ask us for sex and relationship advice. We are here for you to give that solicited advice. Simply go to tagspodcast.com, email us via the website, or any one of our handles on Instagram. At the end of the show, you can DM us and ask it that way. This person wrote, hooked up with my boyfriend's brother. What? Created a throwaway for this post. I met a really cool guy about 5 months ago, and honestly, it was supposed to be a random Grinder hookup, one time thing. We both went into it knowing that it was just a casual hookup. However, when we met for the first time, we instantly had a connection that I have never felt in my life. I am about to turn 30 and have been messing with dudes for about 9 years. I have never felt this way. It makes me question if I really truly had feelings for anyone I dated. It's so beautiful and healthy. We are in disbelief. Everything has been good. It's my dream, but I am now somewhat dealing with a nightmare. He showed me a picture of his brother about 3 weeks ago, and his DL brother and I hooked up twice back in 2021.
Wow.
I remember him. It was honestly just a random hookup, and we just happened to hook up twice within a month and never spoke again. His brother is now in a committed relationship of 3 years with a girl. However, the brothers are roommates. I have not ran into the brother yet. This is juicy, Jeremy. It's a mess, to quote you. But we have been home at the same time and just didn't cross paths. Oh, can't wait to tell a story on this. The guy I'm seeing is also DL. We are all fucking DL discreet, which makes things even more complicated. It's just a matter of time until we meet each other because we're always hanging out over there. I'm not sure if he would remember, and if he does, not sure how he would react. I am battling if I am in the wrong for continuing this relationship. I don't and can't hurt him with the truth. He has been through so much. I have only told 2 people about this. What should I do? Honestly, is where he's coming to at the end of this. And it reminds me of a time here, speaking of LA, being here in LA, I had dated a bartender from the Abbey at the time, and things were going great. We even traveled to San Francisco at the time. And then ultimately it sort of fizzled out, cutting to, and I remember meeting his roommate that I was like, oh my God, that's your roommate? Because I also had a crush on the roommate. And the roommate also was a bartender at the Abbey too. Well, I was already into this new relationship. So I had to kind of like just avoid the one that I really also had a crush on. Cut to later, I was no longer seeing the one, and I started to on the DL see the roommate, but we didn't want the original guy to know. I almost said his name. That would be really bad. We didn't want the
Steve.
original to know, so we would time it out when he wasn't there, and the sex was amazing. I don't know if he would have had a problem if it was too close. But we were definitely writing it on the line there. I mean, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this juicy story? And should he bother? Is he making too much of a big deal about it?
Honestly think if he really likes the guy, I would have already told him.
Oh,
I would not enjoy sneaking around and like sleeping over there and all of that stuff. And I mean, it. I think that it gets you into a very sticky situation if later on down the road his brother ends up telling him if he does remember, and then he finds out that way. I think that that's a lot worse than you just being upfront and having the balls to tell him that you slept with his brother like in the past and it wasn't serious or whatever. Just explaining this scenario and the situation of how it went down. Even if he is down low and with a woman, I mean, I just think it sounds like he hit it off really well with this guy. So I would have already told him if I'm like spending quality time with the guy and almost crossing paths with the down low brother, because like I said, he may flip out if he finds out from the brother on this kid. So I mean, you're
yeah.
kind of putting yourself in a situation where it's like a lose-lose if he just keeps a secret, and it's like a 50-50. He could end up getting away with it and like the brother forgets and doesn't remember him at all, and they all just hang out as like two couples, but it could go the opposite and ultimately be worse in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I think when you're the one that's privy to all of the information, you're kind of the one that has control of it all, but you should probably get it off of your plate, if you will, and tell your guy, let him
Well, I just
decide.
think it would totally be weighing on me, like just even having sex with him in that same apartment and like thinking about the fact
Anxiety.
that the brother's like right next door or maybe in the kitchen when you're done. Like, I don't know. It would make me super anxious, but that's just
Yeah.
me. And I think it's easier to tell him early on rather than wait. Like, I don't know if they end up dating for like 6 to 10 months and then he finds out after that. But it sounds like because they've been almost crossing paths that there's a chance it could come up.
Yeah, Cody, because it's interesting too, because we have no idea if the guy is fluid, the brother,
Mhm.
and maybe he goes back and forth between all genders. And I mean, would the brother really care? But at least he would get it off his chest. How do you weigh in?
I agree with Jeremy. First of all, this is a scenario that I have dreamed of in my head before. Like
I
in
think it
my
sounds better than it really is,
right.
but
I was gonna say I
It sounds like acted out porn or something.
yes.
I feel like I
Sometimes
could
my
do
life really does follow these. Some of these Reddits, I'm like, that's similar to what I experienced, but
You're like, I've
okay.
done that before. I've done that 8 million times.
Yeah.
Cirque du Soleil, all of that stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
No, again, this sounds like something that would be I could fantasize about it. I could even act role play with a partner, but in actuality, if I did this in real life, I would be so anxious. I do not know how this person has kept their cool for this long because like Jeremy said, this is something that is probably going to come out at some moment. You need to take the story by the reins and you need to let this person know so they can be informed. This is not something that you just want to pop up out of nowhere. You have to if I was this person that was my brother had slept with my boyfriend and I found out of the blue, I would be incensed. I would not be able to contain myself. I would think of this person as a liar. And that's the last thing that you want to come across as in a relationship. The trust would be completely broken. So if you really actually care about this person, you need to do your due diligence to the relationship and just let them know if it
Yeah,
doesn't
you
work
did
out.
nothing wrong, by the way,
Yeah.
by, he didn't deceptively do anything behind someone's back. He just slept with somebody a long time ago. It didn't mean that much. And so, but to your point, Cody, by keeping it, if it ever came out, well, how long did you know about this? And if he finds out that he's been not telling him, that's going to be worse.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I think that this is something that you need to get ahead of this story because it's something that you do not want to keep from somebody that you care about. Honestly,
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh, juicy. I
I
love it.
know. I'm
Again,
adding
that
this
is
to the
an
role
Telenovela.
play.
what's that, Jeremy?
I said a telenovela over here.
Okay, I know. My
I
goodness, all of them
know.
tonight. So good. Oh my gosh. Thanks you guys so much for weighing in as always. You can follow my co-host on Instagram. Follow Jeremy at J Ross Lopez, at J Ross Lopez. Follow Cody. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching, or his personal account at Mr. Maurice. Mr. Maurice, where can people get the new single? Just remind everybody.
It's available everywhere on iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music, all 20 streaming services. So you can go anywhere.
Called Talk About It. Cody Maurice. Cody
That's right.
Maurice, Talk About It. We're live this Wednesday with Tags Live, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. You can get the link on TAGSPodcast.com. Visit our sponsors because it helps us going strong. And in the meantime, follow me. Hello. I am _ Steve V on Instagram, where I'll continue to post this week here in LA, or my OnlyFans is onlyfans.com/sexy poppy Steve V. And in the meantime, continue having hot,
Hot
gay
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 sex.
sex.
sex.